And you might hear dogs barking in the background. I apologize.
No worries.
It's also working from home.
Welcome everyone to our next Great Recruiter Spotlight. Today we have Jenny from Kore1 here with us. Jenny, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you today. Been checking out some of your reviews on the platform. You have almost 300 reviews there, so congrats on that. Before we jump into all that kind of stuff, just like to hear a little bit about who you are and a little bit about Kore1.
Sure. So my name is Jennifer Burdick-Thomas. I go by Jenny. I've been with Kore1 now. I just finished my 7th year. Kore1 specifically is a nationwide provider of recruiting and staffing services for technology, digital, creative, engineering, accounting, finance, marketing, sales, etc. We do contingent and retained search, contract to hire, contract, and full-time, from support to C-level. We have branches across the US and 2 in India. Specifically at Kore1, I specialize in technology staffing from support to C-level, and I have a specialty in both contingent and retained search. I also do workforce planning, so I can talk to a client that knows they need to hire something, but they don't have a job description, and maybe they even need a bit of guidance on the job profile, and I can data map the environment, talking to key business stakeholders and the technical team, help them create a job profile, and even give them some advice on what they should and shouldn't be looking for and target compensation. That was something that I've actually learned to do while working at Kore1, working with some of our amazing leadership, some of which worked in technical jobs prior to coming to work at Kore1. So I've gotten to learn a little bit of workforce planning through the management, which has been awesome and a great value add to our clients.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's quite the resume. Sounds like you have a lot on your plate. So again, thanks for taking a quick minute here to chat with us. So how long, you said that you've been at Kore1 for how long now?
I just finished my 7th year on September 3rd.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So like, how did you get into the recruiting industry? Was it something that had always interested you? Did you just kind of fall into it? We're always curious to learn those kind of stories.
Interestingly enough, I have tried a bunch of different jobs in my career, and I feel like all of them uniquely prepared me for a job in recruiting. My path into recruiting was a long one. I actually tried to change careers during our recession. Here in the US, which is a bad time to be looking for a job, much less changing careers. At that time, I was looking to get into marketing and advertising, and I was seeing that the traditional way to apply for jobs online just really doesn't work, especially in a competitive market. You really need to be doing custom resumes, letterheads, and networking, either directly with people at the company or through solid agencies.
Yep.
I connected with a couple wonderful networking groups, a program through the state, Experience Unlimited through the California EDD Career Centers, and kind of learned this new way to look for jobs. And while I was reading some articles on job search, I saw this tidbit on how to stay positive in your job search in today's market, and it is starting each day with a random act of kindness for somebody else in their job search. So I started sharing job leads, like job postings that I saw with people that I met at networking events, and then started sharing like articles that I read, and then did a newsletter, and then carpools for networking events, and then organized a workshop once a week for people that were in transition, where we could meet together, be accountability partners, and help each other with our job search.
Very cool.
Meanwhile, I saw some fruits of my efforts, and I got my first accounting and advertising and marketing job at a plaintiff employment law firm. During my time there, I volunteered to do some witness investigations. So I would interview clients and witnesses and put together legal documentation, affidavits for lawsuits. So I learned a lot about employment law, which was great.
Yeah.
And through that work, I got the firm to allow me to do some what I called good PR. So I would connect those people who often were out of a job with resources in the area, food pantries, clothing ministries, some places that they could get some assistance with their job search. And by doing that, I realized that the part of my job that I liked the best was the part that I was doing as a volunteer, not the actual advertising and marketing.
Okay.
So I started to look into jobs in recruiting. I didn't know if I wanted to do HR, career coach, or recruiting, so I did informational interviews with people in that field to narrow it down, decided on agency recruiting and then tech, leveraged some of the stuff that I had learned at the agency, trying to sell them on a new website with search engine optimization. I kind of taught myself some free stuff that I could do for the firm to show the value. And then I leveraged that to get my first agency job. And oddly enough, it was through networking. So I was helping an executive in transition over coffee. Somebody nearby me heard me do my elevator pitch, reach out to me, and that interview turned into a job. I've since left that firm and joined another firm. And again, it was through networking. I just let a couple people know that I was looking for a job that were tech executives, and the managing partner and co-founder that I work with did the same thing. And he got a bunch of referrals to me, and I've been with him ever since.
There you go. It's quite the story, or quite the journey.
Yeah. It took me a while to get here and figure out what it is that I really like doing, that I absolutely, so the part of my job, so I'm paid to find people for jobs, but the part of my job that I really like is finding jobs for people, getting to share in that joy of them finding out that they got the job that they absolutely wanted and knowing that I changed their life in a pretty significant way.
Yeah, well, that kind of fell in line with my next question of like, what do you love most about recruiting? But I mean, that whole story just kind of, leading up to kind of, being out of a job. I'm assuming that was like the 08-09 recession.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's, I actually graduated college right around that time. And I remember there being no jobs, and it was all about networking. And so that kind of resonated well with me, what you said there. Yeah, I really like what you did, and kind of took your skill set and kind of grew on it and kind of found your niche to lead you to where you are today. It's a impressive, great story.
Thank you.
Like I said, like I've talked to probably about 7 or 8 people so far in these GR spotlights, and everyone has a different story. So it's always interesting to hear how and why people ended up in this industry. So you mentioned that the recession in 08 and 09, and I wouldn't call it a recession, but we're kind of in a little economic downturn currently. Are there any challenges that you're kind of facing now as a recruiter, maybe that you can relate back to what you saw in 08 and 09 as kind of you're leveraging that experience again?
Yeah, so due to COVID-19, a lot of companies have had massive layoffs. They've furloughed people without pay or just put hiring on hold. Which if companies aren't hiring, they're not using agencies. So that has drastically increased workload for many recruiters, not just at Kore1, but across the industry. And I think that overcoming that challenge has been, partnering with clients to help them see the value of continuing to hire in a safer way to hire. So video interviews, phone interviews, remote starts, sending out the equipment. Thankfully, the co-founder that I work with is on the board of some HR committees, and they do think tanks, and they talk about how to bring employees back to working on site safely. And then obviously that gives us great exposure for when they're ready to hire. The other thing that I think has been critical to really seeing things turn a corner in terms of the number of opportunities. Now you can see my dog in the background. She's my little work buddy. Turn things around is kind of expanding skill sets. So while I was hired to do tech, I told my boss, I'll work on something minimum wage. I don't care. Just give me something to work on. If I can stay busy, add value to the company, get some placements, I'm fine with it. Sure. So I'm doing a lot of non-tech stuff right now, which has been a great opportunity for me to learn some new skills, which has been nice, but it's also given me a lot more to stay busy. Whereas if I had done just tech, I would have a lot less positions to work on than I am historically used to. I'm a manager. I manage a team of recruiters.
Okay.
And with that team of recruiters, the number of positions that we had prior to COVID-19 compared to now, it dropped significantly, but now it's creeping back up because we've diversified.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I mean, some firms have the, flexibility to do that. So it's great that you guys kind of took that, that option and turned that into, again, like you said, staying busy and be able to use your skill set and kind of transition into different, different avenues.
Yeah, normally they would kick over the non-tech to other recruiters at the company, even on my team.
Okay.
And I was the one that got all the purple squirrels with pink polka dots to swim underneath the sea tech jobs. But I'm like, no, you know what? I'll take that position. I don't care if it's like a maintenance tech on a manufacturing floor. Like, I'll totally work on that. Please give that to me.
Yeah, no,
So
that's good. You mentioned that you manage a team then. So kind of shifting gears, having great recruiters as a platform to utilize, not only as an individual, but as a manager, are there things that, you've been able to leverage to kind of help your team grow, help them stay on task, especially, I mean, you guys look like you're working remote currently, during those remote times and be able to stay more connected and together as a team?
So the biggest benefit I've seen with regard to the Great Recruiters platform has been the candidate reviews, which is an automated process. So the candidates are periodically getting these emails with a link to rate the recruiter they're working with.
Yep.
And then that gives good insight into the candidate experience for each recruiter. And then a lot of our recruiters have incorporated that link in their signature stamp so people can proactively go in and rate them as well.
Awesome.
I think it's promoted a lot more conscious awareness of making sure that you're updating candidates on where they are in the hiring process, because I know a lot of candidates, they don't get an update in a while and they want to go in and write a bad review on their recruiter versus just emailing and kind of touching base. So it makes them a little bit more conscious of that.
Sure.
We've also, my company has been reading a lot of the reviews and trying to figure out how to use that information to improve our candidate experience during the screening process. So changes perhaps to our applicant tracking system in terms of the questions that are asked,
okay,
how we order the questions that are asked, and even improvements to our website for candidates to go in and find jobs and apply to jobs. So I've been partnering with somebody that does UX to make some improvements based on some of the information we've gathered from the reviews. Specifically with my reviews, they told me that they were excellent, and I consistently got some good reviews, and they wanted to find out, like, what are you doing different compared to the other recruiters at Kore1? So they had me develop a detailed workflow on how I manage candidates that I recruit versus my team recruits that come to me, to figure out, am I asking different questions? What order am I asking things? How am I engaging? And how can we replicate that? Because it's not just about making our clients happy, but also about making candidates happy and really making a good match between the two, whether it's contract or full-time.
Yeah.
We've also been using the Great Recruiter job postings. When we use those, they're directed to our direct career site to apply directly, and there's not any way to kind of differentiate if that's just, they found us on an organic search or from Great Recruiters, but we've always had great success with our job postings on our career site. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, in that case, you're referring to the hot jobs on the profiles,
correct.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's all fantastic. I'm just curious, you mentioned the recruiters have their unique review link in their email signatures. Have they noticed any increased callback rates? Or what another recruiter mentioned is that she's been sending her profile, and I have your profile here in front of me, 408, almost 300 reviews, so you're really crushing it there. But sharing the profile out in your initial outreach email, have you guys tried that at all?
I know it's in, so we recently reformatted all of our signature stamps to make them more mobile friendly, and we recommended including the Great Recruiters link, and even if their recruiter is Great Recruiter certified.
Yep.
I'm not sure in terms of if there's been an increase in response rate, because if they do the review, I don't know if it differentiates on the back end, if it was from clicking on their signature stamp versus one of the automated emails.
Yep.
But I will say that I feel like we get good amounts of referrals from candidates, which may be coinciding with having a fully developed profile on Great Recruiters, a picture, a little blurb, some of the skills that you specialize in, because it's just one more way to add credibility to what you do. We've also encouraged recruiters to try to include that on their LinkedIn profiles, even including a certification. So they can also, candidates, you're in-mailing people, they can see your LinkedIn profile, but then they can also find you on Great Recruiters.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Again, I mentioned I have your profile up here, and you have actually one of the most extensively filled out profiles that I've come across, and I spend quite a bit of time on the platform. So I think that's fantastic. You kind of highlight not only yourself, but the company, and then show, again, mention why you love recruiting, what you do when you're not recruiting, and can really make those kind of more human to human connections. So my last question for you before we depart for the day is, you mentioned, you were kind of pinpointed as a person to that the company wanted to dive deeper into your individual process. Was there one thing that kind of stood out that your team has now adopted as far as a best practice, just in the recruiting space in general?
So something I always try to teach the team that I manage, and we do lunch and learns every other week, and each week a different recruiter teaches, and I've taught on this a couple times, is stop selling your jobs to candidates. Don't start a call with, what can you do for me? Find out what you can do for them. Like, find out, why are you looking for a job? Why are you currently in between jobs? Like, what are you passionate about? Like, I see you do X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's a title, maybe it's a function, maybe it's technologies. But when I think of you, what jobs do you want me to think of? Like, what are you really, really passionate about?
Yeah.
What are you looking for in terms of a commute? Or, you mentioned that work-life balance was important to you. So how do you articulate that? Do you have target compensation goals? We can speak generally, and then we refine each one, each submission based on that unique opportunity. So it could be anywhere within the range on comp, because it's going to depend on the role and the total compensation. But it's more about finding out about their goals before you start talking to them about the job, because you're going to know whether or not they're a good fit for your job and whether or not it's really going to be a great fit for them, which is key for acceptance and retention rates. If you kind of do that matchmaking back and forth. So oftentimes green recruiters will come in and they call, and I have this great opportunity, and yes, you want to kind of get them to want to talk to you, but don't be like selling them into it. Find out what they want, and is that really in alignment with what you have? And if you see something that's like a red flag, just say, I have a job for you. It looks like a good fit, but I'm not sure it's in alignment with your goals based on what you just said. Then you guys talk about it. And if they're genuinely interested, despite that kind of misalignment with their goals, they sell you instead of you selling them. And then you know that it's really going to be a good fit, hopefully at time of offer.
No, I love that. I mean, it kind of all boils down to providing an awesome candidate experience for those people, and again, like you said, kind of putting them first and what they want and what their interests are. So yeah, no, that's fantastic. Sounds like you really know what you're doing over there.
Yeah, thank you. It's a learning experience. I learn new things every single day talking to candidates and to clients.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that from other recruiters, that they learn new stuff every day, and that every day is different. That's kind of what keeps it, keeps the passion burning. So, well, Jenny, I won't take up any more of your time today. Really appreciate you jumping on for the GR Spotlight. If you guys are looking for a job, check out Jenny and Kore1. Appreciate you jumping on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Best of
Jenny.
luck with your job search, guys.
Bye-bye.